Alright, hi guys, this is Matt with Pineman Outdoors, and today I just wanted to talk about a shed hunt that I went on recently. It was on February 23rd, a little over a week ago. Today's March 3rd, and we didn't find any sheds, but we did learn a lot. One thing I did notice during the shed hunt is that I could see a lot of the leftover sign from this past season. I'm talking scrapes, rubs, trails, creek crossings, a lot of stuff I'd be looking for during the season. But the main thing that I was focused on was the scrapes. They were very visible. Compared to around August and September, when I usually go scouting, I kind of bundle, I go hog hunting with my bow and scouting at the same time. And really, it's because I just can't wait for deer season to open up. But during that time, the scrapes really aren't that visible. I do find some little maybe little holes in the pine needles where I'm like, okay, maybe this is a scrape, and I'll mark it on my GPS. But all the rubs look old, and a lot of them, to me, you can't see them too well. And a lot of the trails and stuff usually aren't too visible around that time either. The shed hunt was in February, and I kind of realized that with all of this sign from the past season being so visible, February is really like the best time to go scouting over here. Now, another thing that I learned on the shed hunt, which really tells me why scrapes aren't as visible in the summertime, besides them getting rained on, is obviously leaves are going to be falling in them. But I read that in September and October in East Texas is when a majority of the pine needles fall. So that's the time I used to go scouting, and that's the time when the pine needles are really going to be coating the ground and covering up all those scrapes. Alright, so why am I putting so much emphasis on being able to find scrapes? Well, my main hunting tactic, which I've had the most success with, is hunting scrapes. And a good example of that is this past hunting season. I actually found a huge scrape around the third weekend of October, and it was super fresh. It was huge. There's two other small scrapes around it, and I found this scrape actually right after it had stopped raining. I was camping, and I slept in my tent because it was raining that entire morning. It was pouring down. And then I went out to the spot I'd been scouting and found this big old scrape, and I figured, hey, it just stopped raining. It's probably a good time to hunt a big fresh scrape. So I climbed up in a tree, and 30 minutes later, I had two bucks walk in within bow range. And one of them that came closest to me, he was borderline 13 inches, but there was another one with him, and he looked a lot older. He looked like a really nice deer, but I couldn't get a shot at him. So I ended up hunting that scrape again the next 2 weekends. The first weekend, I shot a doe over that scrape with my bow. And those two does were going into that scrape. And then the following weekend, I shot my personal best buck with my bow. And it was a really nice 9-pointer. It's in the last video on the side. I'll probably put it up and let y'all look at it here. Now, after hearing me say all this, I'm not saying to go out into the woods and find the first scrape you can and hunt over it. It's not always going to work out like that. When I'm looking for a scrape to hunt over, I'm looking for the freshest scrape that I can find. I want to find a scrape that makes me think to myself, I think a buck literally just worked this thing. That's the kind of scrapes I want to hunt over. But in the case of the scrape I found where I shot my doe a 9-point at, I'm pretty sure it's what a lot of people refer to as a community scrape. Now, to be honest with you, I have no idea how to really identify that a scrape is a community scrape. But a few things that I can tell you is the scrape that I found was very big. It was about this big around. I mean, it was huge. It obviously had been it looked like it had been worked. It was super fresh. There was tracks in it. There was two smaller scrapes next to it, and this spot was between a bunch of trees. Like the deer would have a lot of cover right there, and I assume they felt really safe right there. This spot too, I went and scouted it in the summertime, and I don't think there's a lot of hunting pressure there. That's another thing, and I think that kind of goes along with the deer feeling safe there. I mean, every time I hunted there all morning, I'm talking from daylight until around 9 o'clock, there was deer passing through there the whole time. Honestly, that's really all I can tell you about finding or identifying a community scrape. I'm sure there's some articles online or some other videos you could watch about them, just learn a little bit more. But I mean, really, the only way to know if a scrape you find is a community scrape is just to go hunt it. I mean, that's really it. One thing I wanted to add really quick is I don't only hunt scrapes. You know, I hunt bedding areas and food and travel, whatever. I've just always had a lot of success hunting scrapes. But in general, I like to be in an area that has a lot of scrapes and a lot of scrapes that are being worked. If you can put yourself where there's a lot of scrapes, there's bucks there. So that's just one thing I wanted to say. One more thing I wanted to say before I end the video is that during the shed hunt, it was in the same area as where I shot the 9-point over that community scrape I found. In the same area, I found a spot that had about 5 scrapes really close to each other. And that really piqued my interest, and it's going to be a spot I'm going to try to hunt next year, and hopefully they scrape there again, and hopefully I see some deer there. But one thing I wanted to say about it, and I'll show it on the video, but all 5 of those scrapes are under holly trees. And I've noticed in East Texas that every time I see a holly tree, I walk over there, most of the time there's going to be a scrape under it. I don't know if they just like making scrapes under them, or I've heard maybe it's just because they're different from a lot of the other trees, and maybe there's not many holly trees in general. I have a personal theory that the holly leaves are kind of hard and a little spiky, and I'm thinking maybe they kind of like, you know, rubbing their head on it, it feels good. I don't know, but that's just another little tip. If you see a holly tree, go walk over there and see if there's a scrape under it. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video helped anyone that hunts public land in East Texas, or private land too. I'm always looking for scrapes. That's my main strategy when I go hunting, and I've had a lot of success doing it. If y'all have any questions, you can leave a comment. And to anyone going hunting or fishing soon, be safe and good luck.